The meerkat, also known by the binomial name Suricata suricata, is a small mammal belonging to the mongoose family. Meerkats in the wild live in all parts of the Kalahari Desert in Botswana, in much of the Namib Desert in Namibia, and southwestern Angola and in South Africa. A group of meerkats is called a mob, gang, or clan. A meerkat clan often contains about 20 meerkats. In captivity, meerkats have an average lifespan of 12 to 14 years, and about half this in the wild. Their conservation status is least concern on the IUCN Red List. In this video, I'll be evaluating this meerkat enclosure at Reaseheath Zoo. I will be discussing husbandry and maintenance, visitor experience, animal behaviour and welfare, health and safety, and possible improvements to the enclosure. Outdoor enclosure, husbandry and maintenance. Access. The access is suitable for the outdoor enclosure as it is easy to get into through the relevant doors and navigate your way around to proceed with your general duties that are needed. There is also a ramp outside which is wide enough for wheelbarrows to be pushed up for the relevant cleaning duties. Cleaning. The outdoor enclosure is relatively easy to clean as it only needs the holes filling in, raking and disposing of the feces, the organising of logs and the cleaning of the top of the wall around the enclosure. However, the inside of the walls of the enclosure and the top of the walls around the enclosure get dirty quickly and will need to be cleaned regularly to make the enclosure more presentable. Suitability for species. There is enrichment for the meerkats in the form of logs to dig under and climb on. There is a build-up of logs at a high point where the sentry meerkat who is on watch for predators can be on guard. The ground is suitable for digging as the meerkats need a place to hide from stressful or potentially dangerous situations. Indoor enclosure, husbandry and maintenance. Access. The access is average for the indoor enclosure, but it can be hard to navigate around, especially if you are carrying equipment. The indoor enclosure is more difficult to move around compared to the outdoor enclosure to carry out husbandry and maintenance duties, as it is much smaller than the outdoor enclosure and the space to walk around in to clean and maintain the enclosure is minimal. Cleaning. The indoor enclosure takes longer to clean than the outdoor enclosure, as it involves the washing of the window, the piling and the changing of the hay, which has been spread around the enclosure by the meerkats, and the cleaning of the floor where the animals have defecated. For both enclosures, the cleaning is done to a high standard daily. Suitability for species. The indoor enclosure provides a safe area where they can escape from the weather conditions and noise. There is warmth provided from the heat lamp, and the large mound of hay acts as a hiding place too. The enclosure is large enough for a colony of meerkats of this size. Visitor experience. The visitors are provided with an up-close encounter of the meerkats due to the small size of the enclosure. The general public are able to be within a few feet of the meerkats themselves and are able to view them carrying out normal behaviours without having to look through glass. It works well as a landscape immersion enclosure where the visitors feel like they are with the animals in their habitat due to the closeness to the animals. The visitors need more information boards about the meerkats, their environment in the wild, and what is provided for them as enrichment at the zoo. Visitors are also able to view them in their indoor enclosure. However, the window is small and the enclosure isn't as stimulating or interesting for the visitors. Animal behaviour and welfare. The meerkats behave in their usual manner. They run under cover when they sense danger and loud noises. There is a sentry meerkat on watch who signals when there is danger, and this role is alternated regularly. There is a dominant male and female who display their dominance to others in the clan. There are small squabbles within the clan, which are usually over food, which means they are quickly resolved. The meerkats are curious and playful by nature in the wild, and this is also displayed in captivity, which means they are often viewed interacting with each other in a playful manner if they are not bonding by grooming. Anything they are suspicious of, they will become very inquisitive and curious. In the wild, the dominant female is the main breeding female of meerkat clans. However, the dominant female in this meerkat clan is being monitored by contraception, so there is no young at this moment in time to observe. That these animals occupy territories of 1 to 3 kilometres square in the wild, depending on clan size. However, they only occupy a small 36 metres squared in this enclosure. The dominant male does still, however, demonstrate territorial behaviour by scent marking the enclosure, and the meerkats still have one sentry on watch as a guard for predators, even though there is a reduced risk in captivity, showing that being in captivity hasn't reduced these naturally wild behaviours. The meerkats in this enclosure are not demonstrating any signs of stereotypical behaviour, which means they seem to be content in their environment. They are cared for in the appropriate manner, so their welfare is of excellent standard, which is maintained by the keepers, which feed them regularly and are cleaning their enclosure daily, as well as providing them with enrichment to avoid boredom. The 5 needs are met. Health and safety. The health and safety risks of the enclosure are the main factor being something being dropped into the enclosure by visitors, such as food, which would cause harm to the animal if it was to swallow it. There is also the risk of unattended children climbing up into the enclosure with the meerkats, which may frighten them if the child goes to touch them. The wooden platform leading to the viewing area for the indoor enclosure could become slippery when wet. For the keepers and those carrying out daily maintenance of the enclosure, there is the risk of being bitten by the meerkats if they get too close and try to touch them, because they carry the risk of bovine tuberculosis. The meerkats could also escape the enclosure due to the fact the wooden fence into the enclosure is difficult to shut, and they all rush over when you open the fence. But the meerkats are counted before and after maintenance is carried out to prevent escapees. There is also a problem around the perimeter of the indoor enclosure, as the meerkats are able to dig underneath it from the outdoor enclosure to escape. The cleaning equipment needs to be washed and disinfected each time it is used to maintain cleanliness. Improvements. An improvement to the enclosure could be to paint tribal designs or an environment backdrop on the enclosure walls to make it more interesting for visitors and immerse them into the culture in which the animals are from, like Bristol Zoo's Meerkat House. There could also be tribal statues included within the enclosure to work with the paintings to improve aesthetics. More signs could be added around the enclosure to provide more information. The indoor enclosure could be improved with wood being replaced on the flooring as it is stained and faded. At Whipsnade Zoo Meerkat Enclosure, their indoor section is surrounded with a sandy-coloured rock cement and has straw-style roofing, which is cultural and environmental. More vegetation could be added to increase foraging and provide enrichment.